What the hell is making that noise? I'm blocking my whiteboard because I think there are some controversial issues on there. Maybe. Could be. But I'm not going to say anything until I can see I have a live connection with anybody. Facebook is just, good Lord, I'm so sick of it. I hate it so much. Don't know much what to say until I get into that stuff. You know, I've been thinking about so this is mind as a battlefield. I thought people should understand. One viewer, that must be my cybersecurity agent. Somebody just popped up. I don't know who that is. Slow connection again. Ay, ay, ay. Hello? Say hello for me if you wouldn't mind. So these are very interesting topics tonight. This is going to be about, remember the Mandela effect? Now people are starting to come in. Hey, Reg, what's up, man? You familiar with the Mandela effect? I could explain that in a really, really interesting way. How's Ireland doing? Are the paint cans kicking some ass or what? Tina Volto, hey lady, how are you? Did it clear your sky up? Tina just bought a paint can yesterday. She bought the composite, or Peter Campbell. Hi, Peter. Tina ended up buying the sniper kit, Cloudbuster. So there's a paint can, and then there's couplings on the 3/4 inch pipe, and then there's couplings on all the 1/2 inch pipe, and you put it together in 3 different parts, which is how I'm going to start shipping them. I haven't gotten the boxes for those, and the other boxes for everything that I owe everybody. The rest of those boxes are here today, so they came in the mail finally. The Mandela effect, I thought everybody would enjoy this, man. You're going to love this, but I picked this one out like probably 2 years ago on my other account. They probably wiped it off of there by now. I guess they're getting rid of everybody's live videos. Nothing better to do. Reloading again. There's nothing better to do than wipe out history, right? Like how does those things work? Like, why do we burn books? We live in this digital world where everything gets click. It's deleted. Adios. Everything you said, all those thoughts that you mustered, everything you were thinking about and concerned about for the past 4 or 5 or 10 years, zap, adios, we'll see you, right? And I don't know if that's with only the controversial accounts. I don't know how it works, to be honest with you. But I don't hear anybody talking about their favorite kitties or flowers or hiking trips or hiking groups or whatever. I don't see anybody complaining about their memories being wiped out. So, Daba. Hello, Shane. I'm ready for Sky War. It's incredible once you start doing it, man. I mean, you really start to see the difference. Like, it's incredible. Like, even still, like, I'm, I don't know, a month or something into this now. Maybe a little bit more. I don't know how long. Maybe 2 months now. But I don't really register time like everybody else, and I'm hated for that. But so when I first started getting into hitting it literally became that. Like, it's the only thing that I'm ever paying attention to anymore. It's like I look up in the sky. If it's cluttered today and yesterday and the day before, like right now, my head feels like it's going to just explode, right? But whenever this sky is like this and there's some kind of rain that they're calling for, I had a couple of blue skies today, but like our region from like the center of the United States all the way out to the East Coast is just covered with clouds. But if you follow Flight Tracker 24 or whatever, and you go on that app and you play back all of today's history, you'll see that all of the airplanes are flying straight through that, all of it, right? And I mean, that's just abnormal. There's actually more flight traffic through the storms that they have on the radar than outside of the storms. So go and look at the differences there, right? So they're feeding those cloud systems and they're feeding the storms and whatever. Hi, Darlene. How are you? Brian Pitt made it. What's up, brother? So what I'm going to talk about is the mind as a battlefield first, right? But you have to understand what they did. They rearranged the way that you think throughout all this stuff with COVID, right? Beginning of COVID, the only thing people... Hi, Joel. How are you? Joel's been on my page a long time. That freaking thing is going crazy, making all sorts of noises. All sorts of noises, and I don't even have a generator yet. Yeah, you don't need them, man. You really don't need them. Hi, Carrie Armstrong. Reg. Most memories on this melt now say this post has been deleted. Yeah, that's the whole thing. My head hurts. The sky is covered here as well. Yeah, and this has been for 3 days straight. So they really started spraying us like crazy the day before yesterday. Hello from Colorado. Good to see you, Joel, as well. But, all right, so number one, the Mandela effect. Remember at the beginning of COVID, maybe like right through it, everybody's locked down. You're all sitting in your house. The only thing you have to do is putz around with the internet. And you're going like Mandela effect and all these different topics floating through YouTube, right? These are things, and just paying attention to enough to, for them to have planted the seed in your head as a curiosity, they probably nailed 70% of the population with that as a topic, right? So that as a topic, the Mandela effect, right? I should have written these down but I didn't think about doing this first. I just want you to go and do the research yourself first, okay? After I bring this up, because I'm talking about something totally different here on the board today. And what they did at that point was they created doubt in your cognitive abilities and your memory, right? They created a doubt governmentally. This is a worldwide thing, right? They created a doubt. Yeah, I can't even tell. I slept maybe an hour and a half last night because of the damn thing. Headache has been so freaking bad. But every time it does rain and it's spray that bad, I'm like very, very sensitive to it. That's what made me, start the mad scientist stuff. So all that stuff written down behind me. This one is going to accept. So crystals under a charge, right? These are all going to be powered by batteries. I'm trying to make something. So those are copper nails. I'm trying to make something that will run off of a battery. So they're all in copper nails. I'm going to slide copper pipes over the top of these. Tinkerbell does not dot the I on Disney logo anymore. I know she did on the intro. So Disney is a big one, right? Loris, Disney was a big one. They also did, what was the other one Disney did? Mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest of them all, right? And they said, she never said that. She said that. I know she said that. We had the videos, man. My two daughters are 27 and 25 now, right? And I still hear the goddamn, like, VHS tapes in my head from when they were little girls, right? Disney was the biggest thing on the planet. And every time there was a princess, my daughter, Kara, my ex-wife used to sing this song to her, and she'd be like, Kara Grace with a pretty face, and something else, but, and something about her tiara. I don't remember that one. Kara and, something with her tiara. And so she loved these tiaras, and she had to go to all these princess shows and all this stuff when she was little, and it was like the cutest thing. But, so anyway, it's burnt into my memory. I could probably recite the entire thing to you. That's how much I knew that, the Wicked Witch said, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? Well, they said that she didn't, and they went back and they changed the digitized copies of that, right? Snow White. I'm so sensitive to it all. I've been so sick, ears ringing nonstop. Remind me about SAR, S-A-R. Luke, I am your father. The SAR rating. You guys should know about the SAR rating. That's another one. I'll try to come back to that. But that's an FCC thing that started with 2G and into 3G. And that was around 1997 or so. So anyway, if you go in and you look at all this stuff with the Mandela effect, you'll start to see that the Fruit of the Loom was another one. There was some kind of cereal on the cereal box. I don't remember what that one was, but there was a whole slew of them, and I read down the entire list, and it was like 60 different things. Well, out of that 60, it was like 55 of them were companies like Disney, right? Like corporate entities like Disney or Post Cereal or Fruit of the Loom or, like Facebook, Google, whatever, right? All these different things. They changed all this stuff. Yeah, the Fruit of the Loom logo, the Bernstein Bears. So many came about. There was a lot. There were so many of them. So here's the interesting part, right? The same people who were responsible or behind, hey, you get a mask on your face that's loaded with graphene, right? Adding crushed shungite to your crystal tubes to keep the heat up. I have not. I'll go back to that later. If anybody wants to talk about that later, I'll talk about it. Shazam, I don't know about that one, of course. So anyway, my point here, where I'm going with this, is all of those corporate entities, and I just did a video on this the other night, right? Somebody else said that. Curious George has no tail now. There was an episode where he bumped the shifter of his tail in the dump truck. I read it a million times. All right, so I'm going to flip this around, and I'm going to show you where all of it leads to, okay? So where all of it leads to, all of that, the Fourth Industrial Revolution stuff, the, what did I just call it? The Mandela effect, right? Went straight to BlackRock. I just got done reading about BlackRock and learning about BlackRock. Like, everything, right? I went in, where does Larry Fink come from, and all these different things Ian Carroll was talking about on TikTok. And so take a screenshot of that, and I want you to understand where we're at with techno-terrorism, right? Because it's being done corporately at this point, all right? And I'm not saying that like a know-it-all. I'm saying it like a, hey, guess what? We've been getting... I'm trying to get that light glare out of there. We've been getting smacked with a whole bunch of like really crazy stuff, right? And nobody understands the depths of it. Not nobody, but like a lot of people don't understand the depths of it. But that was one of them. That was the first step forward for the mind being the battlefield. And that was BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard, right? So all of these companies are owned by each other. They own each other in this like circular, like they say, circular economy. I was learning about this stuff, listening to Cindy Niles. You want to go to her page, pay attention to the way that this is all rolling out. She's a very, very smart woman. We don't communicate as much as we used to for some reason. Don't know. Vanguard and State Street, right? SS. So all of those companies, like, own each other. Right? It's the most ridiculous thing that they're allowed to do that. And that is the monopoly on everything, right? All those companies own all those other all these holdings, whatever the hell you want to call them, financial institutions, owned all of like Disney and Fruit of the Loom and all these other things, right? So they played a big part in making you doubt your memory. They change, adding chemtrails in is not really one of them, right? But look at the things they've done digitally. They're erasing my videos as I'm talking about real life issues of this era, in this time, like right now, as we're all experiencing the zeitgeist, right? Like, what is the world feeling at this moment in time? these would be great videos to go back and try to understand that 20 or 30 years from now, right? And that's not just my videos. I'm saying anybody who's being deleted right now. So those companies were a big part of step number one, right? Which was, making you doubt your memory. And that goes into 5th gen warfare. Again, generation warfare. Look that up. Dr. Robert Malone has a book on it I have in the house, and I never remember to bring it out here. Okay? So that's what the Mandela effect was. You didn't lose your mind. Time didn't split off into different timelines and all that shit, right? There's no gateway to another galaxy and all that stuff, right? Like, all that stuff is created by the CIA, right? Like, to destroy your ability to experience reality from your own perception, right? It's leading you and taking, like going to church as one of them, right? Not to say that I hate church or I hate religion, right? People are really, really ingrained into it. And I can understand it. Their faith and hope and all that stuff is great, right? It's great, but it doesn't do you anything. What it does is says, there will be a savior one day that will come and fix everything for you, right? What's going to happen is, what's meant to happen is going to happen and all that stuff. But, the good guys will always win. These kinds of sayings doesn't work that way, right? These religions, these Abrahamic religions were built specifically to get you to sit and wait for your savior. Right? And so when you read into all of the esoteric stuff about Gnosticism and where the Gnostics came from, the Picts, the Cathars, the early ancient Egyptians before the Hyksos, right? It was all about freedom in God in yourself, right? This is my world. Like, I live here. I have every right to defend myself from people spraying shit on my head, right? I don't need to be forced into your church and all that stuff. Right, so running off on a rant there with that, I'm trying to avoid it, but 5th generation warfare was that. It was to mess with your mind so bad. Now you're stuck in your house and you're just chasing down these rabbit holes, and 90% of them are leading you into a place that has no substance whatsoever. You get there and you're like, wow. Like, what one got me really bad was, the black guy from Gaia. Is it Billy Carson? I think his name is Billy Carson. And he keeps on talking about the ancient Mesopotamia being the earliest empire, and the Anunnaki and all that stuff, that they're ancient aliens and all this stuff you have on mainstream TV, right, on the History Channel. And all of that is controlled, man. Every last bit of it is controlled. Why are they so desperate for you to believe in aliens outside of this planet? Why have you never seen a movie about the Earth being flat in some kind? You know what I mean? Like, you'll never see that. You will never see that, right? So stuff in, not to say that the Earth is flat or round. I've come to some very compelling stuff that you're like, that blows my mind. Like, if you ever heard my whole version about the water outside, then go to my pinned post and go through all of the videos. There's like probably 15 videos there that explain where I'm going with it. Energy in the pyramids and all that stuff. What was the energy for? Like, I think I explained in that pinned post, but they knocked my other post down that actually had the maps of the stars overlaid onto all of the ancient temple sites in the world. Not all of them, but I did the 3 biggest ones, which was Scorpius and Machu Picchu, the Draco constellation, and the Angkor Wat, and then the Orion constellation over the entire country of Egypt, of ancient Egypt. The entire country is Orion, right? And you've got to see it. You have to reverse the image and bring it down. I'll just tell you, one of the feet in Orion's constellation, one of the feet is Alexandria. So if you were standing in Egypt and you look straight up in the sky and drop the sky down onto Egypt, a star would land on each one of the obelisks, originally where they were, and all of the temples, right? All of the pyramids. And the 2 that they found in the southwest of Gaza, or Giza, I always mix the 2 up, Gaza and Giza. The 2 that they found in the southwest, I knew they were there before anybody said, hey, we found 2 more pyramids. I knew they were there. already because I went through all this stuff. Those stars, they were all created by those temples through piezoelectrical energy, right? That's when I say this is ancient Egyptian technology, forcing energy into crystals and creating or driving piezoelectrical energy, right? That later turns into photons, energy, light. It'll be sound and then photons, and then from photons it turns into plasma, right? You can't see the photons, but they're there. So as energy travels or is compounded, right, as you increase the frequency, how frequently wavelengths occur, driving all that energy from the earth and the piezoelectrical energy of the quartzite in the pyramids out the tip of that funnel-shaped instrument. That big giant pyramid is an instrument to make the gods eternal. Eternal life is to be planted into the stars. So I really want to get some kind of recognition about this, and not in a way that I want to become rich or whatever, but because I know that that's the truth, right? I can't get anybody else to jump on that with me. And it once you understand it the way that I do, I've had at least 7 or 8 people say, like, oh my God, like it's the one thing that makes the most sense. But I'd have to go through an hour-long conversation to get my point across with it, So that is how you can explain the stars on a flat earth, is what I'm saying. All right, so where we're at in the world right now, 5th generation warfare. They started on you through COVID. They started on you with making you doubt your own knowledge, your own gnosis, what you know is real, what you know you've seen. Your SAR rating. So that's techno-terrorism. Smart technology. You have to look this guy up. Go to YouTube. He does seminars for the DOD. He does seminars for the Air Force, the Navy, and the mind is the war zone of the future. The battlefield of the mind. That's his saying, right? So on top of that guy is Regina Dugan. Patriot Act comes in. Regina Dugan starts working for DARPA. She leaves DARPA, goes to Google through the GPS tracking as they started that pilot off, right? GPS tracking digitally where your phone is. There is a ping, they know, right? Now it's not just your phone. Now it's if you have a MAC address inside your body, right? And you are within the proximity of some form of Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, right? So she leaves Google and goes back to Facebook that she created. It was called LifeLog. LifeLog closes, and so she goes back. What was my point here? She creates LifeLog. LifeLog closes. Facebook opens up the same day, and then she goes back after working for Google to work for Facebook again on what they call the Building 8 project. I still don't know the exact details of what that was all about. All I could think is it was something like, so Building 7 in the World Trade Center, Building 7, nobody understands that Building 7 had nothing wrong with it, a little fire, and the whole building fell down. Well, that was the financial transactions building, right? Israel doesn't want you to know that. Look up the dancing Israelis as well. Building 8, what I'm assuming that is it has everything to do with a digitized currency, some form of digitized currency. But the financial transactions in the physical, paper, receipts, all that stuff, $2.8 trillion is missing, blah, blah, blah. Building collapses, nobody knows where the money went, and next thing you know, everybody forgets that all these people die because there's a terrorist. Terrorists everywhere, right? That's the big scare. Nobody's paying attention to where the money is anymore. Keep us safe, government. Give us the Patriot Act, please, So she's important in all of it. Graphene for everyone. Why? Because they want a smart world in smart cities, right? So graphene for everyone is smart nodes. Something that big is a node. of electrical propagation, of wave, wave propagation. And the way that this one sends out waves interacts with the way that this one sends out waves. So when my next, now they go like this, but they create their own waves after, right? And they bounce off other things like people or dogs or trees, right? That's all being read. That language of wavelengths is being read by AI. That's why they want to coat you and your dog and your house and your neighbors and everything, your car, your truck, your quad, your everything, with graphene. That's why they want to coat everything in graphene. So they want smart nodes. And as Yuval Noah Harari said, humans are hackable animals, especially if they have nodes inside of their body, right? So if I want to change my brain from alpha, beta, theta, delta, gamma, whatever, right? If I want to change the brain wave, all I have to do is change the frequency coming out of the towers. Or I use my smart router that's inside of my house that's given Shane a headache for the past 3 days after he's breathing in all this shit, right? Which I'm not saying is absolutely the way that it's happening, but could be, and I don't know. Havana syndrome, I don't think that they were flying around the country or flying around the world, right? And bombarding CIA agents, right? They all had a cell phone on them. They were all around smart infrastructure, like all the time, right? They chipped them and do all this other stuff. So Havana syndrome is not about microwaves and all that different stuff. Like, they're giving me Havana syndrome, basically, right? Because, like, when I have a migraine for 3 days, I can't sleep, and I'm like, I'm just totally lethargic. I feel like I'm dying. I don't want to go to work. Like, I don't want to do things that I normally would be doing, right? And that's been for 2 weeks. I'm just like, I feel like a bump on a log. I just can't get my ass moving. I'm terribly overtired. And it's not because of, I definitely stay pretty active with most of the things that I do, but there's something else going on, right? That's all I'm saying. And I'm sure all of this is not helping it. That's what I'm trying to get at, So smart everything, cybersecurity startups are all owned and started up by those guys. So why did we just have all of our, federal level politicians go over to Israel and swear allegiance to Israel? We don't need them running our government anymore. I don't belong to Israel. You don't belong to Israel, right? The politicians do, but we don't want them anymore, right? Because they've sold us out. They've given everything to Israel for money, or because they want to save their own ass. Like, hey, we're going to kill your children and eat them if you don't give us these laws this way that we want, right? That's the truth behind Israel. That's the way that they've always worked in every government they've planted themselves in, all the way back to Egypt, literally all the way back to ancient Egypt as the Hyksos, right? That technology of taking over an entire population. They've refined that by then, by the time they've taken over Egypt. So they've only gotten better at it. 5,784 years, that technology has evolved, right? No matter who that technology changed hands to, right? That technology has evolved. So, but cybersecurity startups, that's what is reading all of the nodes, how all the nodes behave with each other. That's AI. All of that learned by AI. They don't even have to do anything, right? They don't have to come and get you. They know who you are. They know how you think. They know where you move to, who you move with, right? What you're moving for, how many times you farted, right? Like, it doesn't matter what it is. It's there, right? People laugh about, why do you keep a piece of tape over your camera? Like, why the fuck do you think? Right? Like, that's what it is. That's what it is, right? So, but that's today's critical infrastructure. So, take a screenshot. It is the United Nations, and these are all global initiatives. It's not our own government. The New World Order is the United Nations. That used to be the League of Nations that switched in 1948, or 1945, 44 or 45, right after World War II, just like the Office of Strategic Services went to the CIA, and every time you hear something's leaked out of the CIA, automatically you want to believe it because, well, you're not supposed to know this. I'm a leaker. And guess what? Aliens pop up, spaceships pop up, interdimensional beings pop up, right? That's the psyop. Hey, we leaked it. Oops. The CIA is full of shit. Right? I was just trying to explain this to my son today. He's like, I just read a paper from Harvard, he said, and I'm like, oh, well, that's good. But keep that as one of the facets on the way that you look at things, right? And I'm trying to explain to him, where he's at in life. So take a screenshot of that and look into all of these things. SAR rating I'm going to cover real quick. But in his youth, right? I don't blame him. Like, we love each other to death, that's for sure. But we really have a hard time communicating. He's got a lot of his mom in him, I think, which never really worked out very well for me. But what I tried to explain to him was this. I can't remember what the hell it's called, but there's a name for it, right? There's this thing. And then there's another thing, right? So when you're young, your ego is here. Then as you age, it kind of spirals outward, right? And you start to see things from out here, right? You go 360 degrees around that circle. And eventually, when you hit 50 years old, you start to see things from all these perspectives in unison, right? When you're that young, you can't be handed wisdom because you have to experience all of that, So I can't remember what this is called. It's one in all and all in one, or I forget what it was called. But that's just my view from the esoteric world on the way that things go. So 1997. Everybody wanted to know about, this is where they had 2G cell phones, right? This is when they went in and they changed the band that they used for radio signals. And during that, there's a book out there called Human Radiation. I bought this like 3 years ago. It was like a $250 book, but it was written by Bill Clinton's cabinet or something right after he went out of office, right? The book is called Human Radiation Experiments. And it's like there's the most gnarly shit in that book, right? The stuff they did to pregnant women. Again, now think about this for a second. And that was the conversation my son and I had today, was about autism, right? But 97, by what year did autism start really exploding after 1997, right? Going into 3G and all that, right? But they've always been pumping aluminum into our bodies. Why? Because it ionizes. You end up with cancer, you end up with illness, you end up with Alzheimer's, you end up with some form of illness that makes somebody else money. And that's what kept the 70s to the mid 2000s, like 2015, right? 2015, that medical industry has been fleecing us for our wool, right? They have the solution. Right? They have the solution, then they create the problem, and then the reaction. So we're always told it's problem, reaction, solution. It's literally, they come up with the solution. How do we apply the solution? We create a problem. Diabetes, that was electrical. That's an electrical problem with the body. Right, diabetes just for one, but Alzheimer's and all that stuff came in with 2G, right? So that Human Radiation Experiments is the name of that book. Look it up. It's expensive. If you want me to read some excerpts out of it once in a while, I will. Human radiation experiments. That was after 2G going into 3G, right? So Bill Clinton comes out and he does this public apology. I'm so sorry. I got to apologize on behalf of the United States government. We shouldn't be doing all this. They're like giving radioactive isotopes to pregnant women all over the place. And that's what they said, right? What they were doing is testing out the frequency stuff. Like, I know that. I know that for sure, because they always go back and backtrack and blame it on some kind of physical thing, just like the medical world, right? But they were testing out frequencies on people, just like I said the other night about the doctor doing the ringworm children over in Israel through the 50s, right? And then cancers all start popping up, right, from the 70s forward after they figure out this, there's 15 different levels of gamma radiation that you can apply to people, and you put it in the breast, they end up with breast cancer. You put it in the colon, you end up with colon cancer, right? So they did all these tests over there on the ringworm children. And then from the 1970s forward, guess who owns all the hospitals primarily, right? I'm sure they were all Israeli-based somehow, right? So anyway, 2G into 3G, they come out with this thing called the SAR rating. That meant specific absorption rate. Right? 3G comes out in 2001. Specific absorption rate is what the FCC has to initiate now. From 1997 forward, I couldn't find the SAR rating before as a term used by the FCC. Am I still alive? Because they'll kill me for this. Oh, I'm still alive. How about it? So you can't find that term previous to 1997, but that was used by the FCC, right? And where was my train of thought here? FCC, the SAR rating, going into 3G. 2001 was 3G. So that SAR rating, that specific absorption rate, was if you wanted to sell a wireless communication device in the open markets in the United States, it had to have a SAR rating on it from 1997 forward. Well, bird flu pops up with 3G, right? Right? Bird flu. Everybody, it's got Obama, I think, was in office at the time. Everybody run, you're going to die. The bird flu is coming. So 2001, now 3G, the bird flu happens. That's all because of radiation from the cell phone towers, right? And, so 4G, you go into 4G, and what do you have? Swine flu. You go into 5G, what do you have? The bat flu. Right? You know what it really was? Why are all of these animals getting sick? Because their cells are exactly like, take another screenshot and look up the specific absorption rate. So what SARS actually was, the bird flu, instead of severe acute respiratory syndrome, it was specific absorption rate sensitive. That's the people that got sick. That was the people that got the bird flu. They were sensitive to the radiation, so it messes up the body's antenna. Now, they're using the body's antenna with graphene. That's what they're after now. You're breathing it in. It's going into everything. Everybody would be okay with AI, right? It's crazy how it just knows everything. But nobody knows about graphene, right? The people up in the offices, the people in the governments, right? They don't know that all of that graphene is going, well, they know because they're doing it. But it's not, I'm sure it's not the entire government. I don't know. I don't know. Like, at this point, there should be a major, get these assholes out of office, and that's it, right? So, swine flu, right? Pigs are sick. The bats are sick. What was the other one? The birds are sick, right? Well, plants, animals, bugs, right? Cells are cells are cells. Cells are cells are cells. There's mitochondria and photosynthesis or whatever. There's a big difference, I guess. You know, I'm no biologist. I'm no chemist. I don't know, you know, like all the fine-tuned stuff, right? But the rest of this is water. And that water gets sick or just, you know, it gets filthy, or you vibrate it in an unhealthy manner and it becomes unstructured water. The cell will push it out in what's called an exosome. And then you look up the microbiologists, I think through Obama, all over the world. All over the world, they start dying in the hundreds, right? I think there was like 300 or 350 of them or something. Microbiologists all start dying through 3G. Why? Because they're looking at the cell, spitting out this little ball with all these spikes on it. And they're going, whoa, you know, we got this new technology, electron microscopy. Look, these things are always here. Well, we knew they were always there. Well, that's a virus. No, that's not a virus. It came out of the cell. Right? That's what they're able to do now in electron microscopy video. But you didn't see any of that through COVID. Right? So that's the balled up toxicity. That's the balled up toxicity that was in that. So this cell will get rid of half of its water to push that out of it. So what's with the pigs? What's with the birds? What's with the bats? Right? Their cells are exactly the same thing. What's with the plants that are going extinct? What's with the bees that are, you know, colony collapse disorder? What's with them all? They're sharing the radiation. They share the radiation with everything else. They'll show you a still photo of a microbiology, whatever, right? In that still photo, you'll see, oh my God, that's COVID. Right? No. That was the waste that the cell spit out. That's the exosome is how one cell will communicate to the other. You get sick, you drink, you go to alcohol, you drink one beer, you got to piss 10 bottles of vodka out, right? One sip of beer. Why? Because your cells communicate through the exosomes. That's the messenger system from one cell to the next. That exosome talks to that exosome. Hey, we're sick. Flush out 50% of the water. Gets spit out. Well, what do you know after you get loaded and you wake up on Saturday morning without drinking any water the night before, right? You have a headache. You have COVID. You have a headache because your brain is dehydrated. All that toxicity that you absorbed being chemical rather than radiation, right? So you've given yourself an over-toxic load of your cellular structure, right? So that's what the whole truth was behind 3G, 4G, and 5G. And if you ever look up the Boston experiment, it was like in the 20s, they tried to give so these guys all died in all these weird ways. I think it was 350 of them. Microbiologists all died because they realized at 3G, these exosomes are popping up, but they're coming out of the cells. They're not going and attacking and jumping into the cells. Well, all the markets are at risk now. Hey, Sudafed, guess what? You're fucked because you lied, right? That didn't happen. These guys died instead, right? But they started dying in all these different ways. Like they were getting robbed and, what do they call it? Mugged and all this stuff, right? Suicides and all that stuff, like Hillary Clinton mode, they all went, right? But that's across the whole world. And the numbers that they died at, if you're talking about the laws of probability, it was like it's the most ridiculous numbers statistically that you could possibly think of. How quickly they died in this short period of time. I think it was over the course of a year or maybe 2 years. But they all died within 2 years at 30, 35, 32, 42, all earlier than like 50. A couple of them were like 60 and 70 years old, but not many. And I looked a whole bunch of them up, but that's one of the videos I did on TikTok. I ended up getting scrubbed when they kicked my account. But, so yeah, that was COVID. That was COVID. They got you sick on purpose with this. because this all happened through 2G, 3G, 4G, and 5G. It happened with AM radio and the Spanish flu. The Boston study is what I was about to tell you about. If you ever saw the Boston study, you got to look it up. You got to look it up. It's very, very hard to find. You might find it on archive.org. Go to archive.org and you might find it. But the Boston study, they took 100 people. I think it was Boston, so Boston University took 100 people, split them into 3 control groups, and they took a COVID guy, right? And he was sick with the Spanish flu, and he made him breathe into the faces of this guy, made him cough in this guy's mouth. You know, these 33, and these 33. I know, 33. And then this guy here, they extracted the mucus from the nasal cavity and injected it into those 33, into their nasal cavity. Injected mucus from a sick person into the sinuses of the other person. How many of them got sick? If you ever heard Thomas Cowan talking about this, it's just wild. That blew my mind away. None of them got sick. None of them got sick. They couldn't give this guy to any of these people. So they did it with pigs during 4G. Same thing. Couldn't get them sick. They did the same thing with horses during polio. And that's one that Tom Cowan talked about. They would take a burlap sack and put pepper in it, put it up on the horse's head that was sick, make it sneeze, snot, and whatever into the bag, put the bag on the other horse's head that wasn't sick for 24 hours. They couldn't get the horses sick, right? Polio was the same thing. That was radar is what caused polio. Neurological problem. It was radar. None of those people got sick. Virus doesn't exist, as we've been told. And you can look all this shit up yourself if you want, but most people don't. So that was the Boston study, SAR rating, blah, 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 archive.org and whatever. I don't know. That's all I have for tonight, I guess. Am I still here? I am still here. How about this? This is awesome, man. Cool. Did they zap my feed at all? This freaking headache is like unbelievable. I can like that thing is just murdering me. So, dirty bastard! I gotta get rid of that. Oh, hold on. Nope, I unplugged that one. Man, I must have unplugged that one. Give me 1 second. Sorry. I'm going to run through the comments quick, and I got to go try and get some sleep. I have a big, big day ahead of me tomorrow. What is going on here? Fucking CIA. There we go. All right. There. Magnesium. Don't see any... There we go. Thank you for that lesson. Sure, Kim Day. They didn't get sick. Yeah, they didn't get sick, man. 60 gigahertz Wi-Fi absorbs oxygen molecules too. Put the two together, and what do you get? Absorbs oxygen molecules. So that's it's cellular aspiration. If you ever read The Invisible Rainbow, it's the cell's ability, because of the oscillation in the oxygen, like they're basically like microwaving the oxygen. It's the same way that your body takes in microwaved food, right? Like people get literally sick from microwaved food. So, but yeah, through that oscillation of the. Cannot hear me well. Get a big charcoal activated filter for your house. Michelle Shriver, yeah, no problem. Just got frequency generator. Is it called Chladni plate? No, a Chladni plate is just a thing you toy around with, and you see like how things will organize using specific frequencies. You know, so on a Chladni plate, right? Like, I don't know if I ever went through this or not with my new crew of followers here, but on the Chladni plate, it's not just the sand that does this, you know. So you have the shapes pop up, right? You'll have the shapes pop up once you there's a whole bunch of different factors, right? There's a bunch of different factors on I'm trying to expand this so you can see, but I can't do it on this side. So there's a whole bunch of different factors in this whole thing, right? And like, this is representing sand, right? What you do is you pump vibration into here. I always use 528 hertz. That's the one that's good for healing DNA, right? Organizing or structuring water. But this is, let's just say we put salt on there. Crystalline structure and all that, doesn't matter, right? So that's a steel plate. There's a set rating for these things. I use like 18 gauge steel or something. I wasn't getting anything out of it, right? And I'm like, well, it's working, but it's barely working. I'm like, oh, right? So you do all these experiments, you start to realize like something that's that, you know, that's that thick is vibrating versus something that's that thick, right? So the vibration itself going into that material is one factor. That's the density of that material, the thickness of the material, right? So a Chladni plate has to be a specific thickness, number one. Number two, I have salt on here. Much lighter than sand, I think. So if I change the compound, now those vibrations that are vibrating through that plate, that'll change when I'm using sand. Right, so that same frequency here, that makes that beautiful shape, now makes a different shape once you add sand onto it, right? And then that's because of the density of those materials, how easily they bounce around, right? So it's the same shit with the water in your body. When you're being microwaved from these towers, right? And you're like the bats and the birds and the pigs, right? You're sick with some kind of thing. The water in your cells, they've changed it through vibration, right? That vibration, you don't see it, you don't smell it, but it's very real. People don't get that shit, man. Every other word. I'm really breaking up for 15 minutes. I am an organic ginger. What are you talking about telling me I need organic ginger? I'm cutting out. That figures. I wonder why. How's the sound now? Is it good? Something happened? Yeah, Facebook. Israel doesn't like me talking. You can hear me now? Yeah, they're fucking with it again. I'm really breaking up. I don't know why. So I'll try and download the video and put it on the YouTube. You'll be able to hear everything, I hope. All right, I'll rewatch the whole thing. I just wanted to make it a quick one. What time is it on the East Coast? Anybody know right now? Michelle Shriver hears me fine. No problem here. Good in Nanticoke. Valerie Simmons. Valerie Simmons, you're from Nanticoke? Good now. Clear here. Well, I hope they don't mess it up and I can download it and send it over to the YouTube page instead. They wouldn't let me go on YouTube, man. That pissed me off. 24-hour wait, you know, like. So that's all I was saying about the Chladni plate. Oh, Michael David, if you would have seen me on my other account, they would like put these annoying freaking sounds in the background. They'd chop entire segments out, like at, you know, their choice of what 8:24. Thanks. 8:24. So that's my hour. I'm done. I haven't broken up. All right. So somebody else said it's still breaking up. All right. So that's the important factor in all of this, right? Am I still good? All right. So 528 hertz on this Chladni plate, that is the right thickness, is a totally different thing with a Chladni plate that's too thick, number one. So that absorbs frequency. this is what lead does, right? Why they banned the lead paint, right, in the 70s. Well, the FC, not the FC, but they come out with cell phone technology commercially in like 1979, right? 1978, I think, is when they banned the lead paint, right before they commercialized cellular technology. 125 in Ireland. So that was COVID. That was COVID. That whole thing. That's what COVID was. I'm not telling you I think that. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm telling you I read all of the science I could possibly find on it. That's how it worked. It was vibration. So if that's salt and sand, right, were your cells in your body, they were vibrated to the point of you not being able to smell and taste, right? So that's a neurological problem. That's a problem with the electricity in your brain. The cilia in your nose vibrate, right? So the cilia in your nose vibrate. The hairs on your arms. The hairs in your ears. How do you get sound? Right? That's vibration. Tickles all these different things. You got hair in your ears. That's cilia inside of the ear is what, gets pounded flat eventually. Same thing with your nose. If your sense of smell starts getting bad, right? But, you got to think everything like graphene is a node. Throws off a wavelength, right? So if that's a pheromone floating around off of a flower, I'm not even spelling that right. Whatever. But it's throwing this wavelength. Hey, I smell roses. It's due to vibration. Your nose picks up vibration. So the brain is what reads the cilia. So that was all neurological. That was an electrical problem in the brain that they gave us. The lead stopped the frequency from penetrating the walls. Yeah, like this stuff that they're using now, it's called backscatter technology. It's backscatter technology. So let's just say that I start up my Chladni plate, and in that Chladni plate, I'm watching all this stuff self-organize. What's going on with all of the other, so I did a picture, there's a person's house I'm working at. There's a water droplet, and the water droplet goes up like this, right? They drop water down onto a still pond of water, and they have an awesome photo in their bathroom of this, right? And what you're not seeing there is that there is an entire world of things happening outside. That looks like a butt crack. Sorry about, last time it was boobs, I think, right? But, so here, that even looks worse, man. So that's how all things work, right? That's how all things work. That water droplet that jumps back out, all of the wavelengths that come off of it are still there. You just don't see them, So what happens to a wave when it flips over on itself? It pushes air out, right? There's something happening. If you count 9 on my hand, right? We got 5 physical fingers and 4 that aren't there, right? Like that's being able to see both sides of something. Like earlier, Sean Elmer. It's just terrible looking, man, ain't it? My butthole is vibrating. Just like, all right, I'm done, man. I'm done. I'm going to try and run through the comments real quick. I have to erase that. So, all things behave the same way. All things behave the same way, including our planet, planetes, our Verald, our world, Oh my God. So let me see. I'm sorry, but it's just like, oh man. That's hilarious. Yeah, that was a good one. Oh, man. The lead stopped the frequency from penetrating. Here, speaking the truth. 524. All right, that was the times. Different thickness of the same material doesn't change the density. Crystal. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that for sure. Different thickness of the same material does not change the density. Right, yeah. It does change the absorption, though, right? So that's, that's the way I would assume, right? It would change the level of absorption of that radiation. Smooth here, except when you comment. Man, I really wanted to hear that. I'll try to repost it. I'll take it down and I'll put it on the, I need to get some organic ginger. My lips don't match my word. They do that all the time too. That's another one. Now I can no longer scroll. Man. Going in and out. Yeah, these guys are just total assholes. And that, so again, that's cybersecurity for you, right? That's the military branch of Facebook, Israel. Same logo, layout, same colors, Buttholes vibrating. Yeah. Oh, man. Buttholes, yeah, they definitely behave the same. So, all right, man. I'm going to kill it with that one. But that's funny. I'm embarrassed. So, yeah, look all of those things up. If you took any of the screenshots, when I said take a screenshot, all that stuff is absolutely true, man. So there's no way they could ever scare us into COVID again. It won't happen, right? You are a hackable animal, like you've all know what Harari says, because they put graphene in your body. That's the thing that everybody's missing. They put it in the soda. They put it in the car wash. They put it in your food, right? Whatever the hell they call it now. It's changed. So feet in ice cold water might work for the headache. Yeah, I have a grounding blanket. It was taking it away for the longest time. As soon as they started spraying like this, every time I get rain, it goes straight to my head. It was forever, right? And I didn't have any rain for probably about 2 months I do, but it's very, very minimal, They're saying we're supposed to have rain all week. I'm grateful for your time as well, Christy. Thank you. Your head was in the way for a screenshot of... Oh, man. Well, that sucks. I'll try and go back through the video. I think everything is there. Our buttholes behave the same way, too. That's funny. Might be dehydrated. Yeah, I've been drinking water all day today, too. It's freaking annoying, man. I can't stand it. And I can actually kind of live with it now, but it's just it's debilitating. Like you can't, the focus goes off. That's why I wrote everything down, Churro, I don't know what that is. Salt water is good. Oh, salt water, that was a good thing. Yeah, I remember reading that. Good night, people. It's the same, Victoria. Finally got real rain in the Valley of California. Real rain. Yeah, you can tell, man. When you have the paint cans up, I don't know if you have a paint can up or not, Susie, but the rain here has been minimal and really nice since I put my cans in. It's been awesome for the garden and pasture. Kristen, everything around where I had those paint cans, like the things I didn't want to grow, it freaking exploded. Like I have a whole big area behind my garage. And it's a pain in the ass to always have to clip down. But I ran through there like last winter and I chopped down all these. There was these big walnut trees that were there. There was like 5 or 6 of them. So I chopped all those down because they kill everything that's inside your, anything that's growing. There's some kind of shit that falls out of them. It kills everything in the same root system. Notice also sometimes a weird smell when it rains. I know it was real rain because it didn't leave a film on my truck. Oh, wow. Yeah. So, since I put the paint cans up here, like you can, it feels like when I was a little kid. So I grew up by this lake. It was called, Lake Carey. And my great grandfather built like all these old cabins there. We had one ended up getting sold on us by my uncle. And, we used to walk around the lake when I was a kid. I'd take my buddies up there from school through the summer. We'd stay up there a few weeks. But every time it rained, you would get this awesome smell, right? Like this awesome smell. Like right after the rain came, we'd go out on our bikes for a ride right around the lake on the bikes. And you could it was like this really fresh feeling. Now when it rains, it's like, Jesus, like you could feel this electrical tension in the air. And maybe it's because that I'm old and more sensitive to it now, but been pouring in Ontario, and we have a fire ban. If you're been pouring in Ontario, we have a complete fire ban here because water levels are so low. So in Pennsylvania, our river is really low too. So this is we're getting rain now, and they've been pushing. I mean, every time. Here's what pisses me off, right? Where people are saying you're a crazy nut job, conspiracy theorist. What the hell is wrong with you? Blah blah blah, right? Like I pay attention to shit, man, right? I pay attention. Like the world's messed up. I'm watching the freaking government do the shit it does, right? The politicians are fucking garbage, right? So I'm paying attention. You haven't been. You know, go back to your beer, go back to your weed, whatever the fuck it is that you were doing. Go do it, right? Go do that. I'll keep paying attention. You know, like it just pisses me off that people that stupid are telling me what I am, you know, when I'm sitting reading books and all, right? Like it's just that pisses me off. But I don't even know where I was going. I get pissed off with these people saying that kind of stupid stuff, man. Ugliness on the walnut tree. It emits from the roots even. Yeah. It kills everything if you're trying to plant like tomatoes or anything like that. Walnut hull kills parasites as well. Oh, wow. Parasites for trees or like for plants and stuff? Oh, rivers. Oh, that was the other thing. Yeah, I think I was talking about the river or something. But it's been really, really low lately. Rivers all over are extremely low. So they can't discern the truth. Yeah, I mean they're just fully like their whole lives are here. Since I found your page in the Paint Can Brigade, I don't feel like a conspiracy theorist anymore. I love you guys. Yeah, likewise, man. It's just there's. I mean I don't fucking care about them people at all, right? Like them people, like they'll catch up eventually. Like the hard part is being non-confrontational with them, right? But they can't do that because they'll do their little thing, like, oh, you know, he's fucking nuts, you know, like when I go to a football game or I go to a restaurant, I see an old buddy, like, whoa, you know, like, whatever it is. And I don't have to defend myself on any of it. You want to have a conversation with me, I'll have a conversation with you. I will bombard the shit out of you with stuff, and you'll say, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. That's so much stuff you got packed in your head. I can't absorb it all. Like I literally have people say, all right, well, turn it off. Like you just ruined my life, right? It's just like, you have to know where you're at, right? You have to know where you're at. If you're going to do anything for your kids, all the things that ever mattered to you, you got to do something about it, man. Oh, no parasites in me. I didn't know that. Pearls before swine. Yeah, and I mean, I don't care about them anymore. I don't care about them that way. It's just like pay attention, for Christ's sake. Like, we're about to be in this digital gulag that, you know, they're erasing my memories. What about when they erase me and they leave my imprint digitally on? You know, my digital twin is still here. What are you laughing about, Rich? You must have got to the anus part. You should name the paint can Rapaski's Revenge. You know, it's somebody else's, it's the truth to speak that, yeah. Somebody else said I was born for this. They're like, yeah, your name is like Rip a Sky. If you just change the E to an I, you know, Rip a Sky. I'm like, yeah, I was meant to do this, you know. But that stuff that I'm doing now, man, this one's going to be crazy because I'm going to run electricity through it. And this is the stuff that Wilhelm Reich was doing, right? Like there's a charged copper nail on the base of every one of those, right? If you want to take some screenshots, put one together yourself. Those magnets are in different directions to keep continuity of flow. So this one is flowing up, and this one is flowing down, and then the next one is flowing up, and the next one is flowing down. Otherwise, they don't want to stay, right? It's just creating a bunch of wild electrons. So this is controlling the flow of those electrons. I'm laughing about your interactions with normies. Yeah, fuck them. You know, like I can go back to regular Joe at any time, you know. It just feels so shallow and stupid. Like, I don't even want to have conversations with some of these people. Like, they're just so fucking dumb. Like, you know which ones they are. You know that they want to talk shit. You know that they have talked shit. And you don't have to talk to them to know that they talk shit. You just know their personality growing up with them. And it's just like, God damn, man, there's a lot of stuff going on right now. You really ought to start paying attention. Like, we're in big, big trouble here. You know, go Trump. And you're like, it's past the politics, dude. You know, like, oh, man. And I don't want to offend anybody, right? Like, I'm non-confrontational on it, but it's like, yo, there is way more than the politics here, man. I just showed all of it. I just showed all of it from COVID forward. I believe God's children hear the truth. Yeah, I mean, I see it. I mean, I don't know what it is, and I kind of wish that sometimes that I can turn it off. But Jordan Maxwell was a great influence on my awakening. You got to get those books, man. You know, I said it last time. If anybody didn't see that one live, my brain. The books are right there, but I don't want to get them. The Falsification of History and the Falsification of Science by John Hamer. All right, guys, I'll go back in and I'll try and salvage this video and send it over to YouTube. I know that they're probably going to cut a lot of that stuff out of there. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe, maybe not. But I'll post it over there if you want to hear all that stuff. These comments won't be on it, though. And I don't even get to see all the comments, ever. I don't even get notified of anybody leaving comments on these things. Once in a while, I'll get something, but it's usually a heckler. Hey, this guy thinks you're fucked up, you know? He just called your children a bunch of, you know, whatever. I don't know. That's the stuff they want you to see because it pisses you off, right? That's what Israeli cybersecurity does. That's the military arm. They want to lead you away from seeing other people that think like you. Good night, Gary. Yeah. Yeah, good night, guys. I'll catch the comments afterwards. I can't read them all. They're freaking jumping up like crazy. What's up, Buster, brother? Yeah, they're awesome. These things are freaking awesome. Yeah, thanks, Rich. Of course, man. You too, Valerie. All positive for me. See you guys.